Good afternoon, hello, welcome to the TriathlonDan YouTube channel. This video is all about the Garmin stamina feature. More specifically, I'm trying to determine whether the Garmin stamina feature is actually of any use when you're trying to ride your bike as fast as you can. Whether that's on a cycling time trial, whether it's on a road race, whether it's in a Strava segment, whatever you're doing, is this any good? Now this video is about my first impressions of this feature. I haven't tested it thoroughly. I've used it on one cycling time trial. Unfortunately at the minute my body is holding me back from doing anything else, but I am going to get back on it in the next few days and get some more testing done, but I thought I'd share my findings with you. So it would probably help if I explained what the Garmin stamina feature is. So this feature is only currently available on the Garmin Fenix 7 or the Garmin Epix 2 watches. I don't know if there's any plans for this to trickle down into the old models or into the bike computers. I can see how there might be some hardware limitations with the older kit, but I don't really know is the honest answer. I would though like to see this on bike computers, specifically for the reason that I'm trying to test it for. So come on Garmin, sort it out. Is this good product placement? So the stamina function consists of two key measures, stamina and potential stamina. Now this does seem quite complicated at first, but I think I've got my head around it, so hopefully you can too. Stamina is how the ability to keep doing what you're currently doing is being affected. More relevant to short efforts, and this measure can be displayed as a percentage, as a time, or as a distance remaining. And then potential stamina is more of a general gauge of how long you have left in the tank over a longer term basis. So this is more useful for longer, moderate intensity efforts. For example, if you were to cycle up a hill and cycle up the hill quite hard, it's quite hard for me to cycle up a hill, so that's a good example, then my stamina would reduce faster than my potential stamina, and then let's say I go over the top of the hill and I found myself a nice little cafe to stop at, my stamina would increase above the level of my potential stamina. The potential stamina might have come down a little bit whilst I'm going up the hill, but not a huge amount, and then the other one goes up, and then potential stamina perhaps doesn't come back up in line with stamina. Does that make sense? It might be easier to look at the data. Potential stamina can only be displayed as a percentage, and it can either be viewed in real time on the watch itself, or you can look back at it on the Garmin Connect app. In reality, I think it's more important to look at it there and then. If you're going to use it as a pacing tool, it's too late looking at it on a computer after you finish the ride, isn't it? But it is interesting nonetheless. So before I get onto the test itself, I just wanted to talk about what the watch doesn't know. Now, I've been living in the Garmin Fenix 7, but I chose to use the Epix 2 for this test because the display is a little bit brighter and I thought it could be a little bit clearer on the camera. However, that means that the watch does not know how I've slept, what other training I've done that week, how I've recovered, all of those things. Now I did make sure that the watch knew my functional threshold power, my functional threshold heart rate, my maximum heart rate, my height, my weight. I synced all the relevant sensors, my power pedals, my heart rate strap, all those things. So it had some information, but it perhaps didn't have the full picture about how my body was performing. The sensors I used to send it the other information was I had a Wahoo Ticket X heart rate strap and some Vivero Asioma Duo pedals. I need to get a kit that's easier to say. So the actual test itself. Now, I live in a very hilly area in Derbyshire in the UK, and you'd think that'd make me incredibly fit. Unfortunately, it does not. However, it does mean that there are a lot of cycling time trials near me on hilly courses, and that was perfect for me to test this feature because I could test going hard up a hill, recovering down a hill, and seeing how that data reacted. So I had this data on a watch on a mount in between my aero bars, and then I also had my Wahoo Element Roam in between the bars, and I was looking at the power and heart rate on the Roam, and I was glancing at the stamina information. If I'm honest, it was the first time I'd used it, so I wasn't going to try and use it to pace the ride, but it was interesting to see how the data changed. So let me just explain what the data is on this watch screen that you're now seeing. So the top left, the bottom left, and the bottom right are all showing the measure stamina in different ways. The top left is stamina remaining in percentage, the bottom left is stamina remaining in time, and the bottom right is just both of those features in one display. I didn't know what I was doing, okay? So those are the same thing, so you're probably best looking at just the left-hand side for that. And then the top right is potential stamina displayed as a percentage, and then superimposed over the top is my power and heart rate. So hopefully that gives you a really good overview of what I'm doing and then what the data's then saying. Right, so the test itself was a 25-mile time trial. It was really hilly. It started off flat and then went up one big hill that was about 12 to 15 minutes long and then a nice descent afterwards. I'd ridden out to the start and I'd been recording that ride on the Epix. So you can see that at the start line, my numbers aren't 100 and 100. I'd done an hour or so's ride. I'd done a little warm up, a little bit of intensity, and that's why they're like that. This would also be the case if you hadn't done a warm-up, but perhaps you trained the day before and your watch didn't think that you'd fully recovered. It takes all those things into account when it's projecting your stamina and potential stamina. So here we go then, both stamina and potential stamina is showing 83%. It's saying that I can do that for another 10 hours and 20 minutes. I basically pedaled the last few minutes easy to the start, so I probably could have done, but that time is soon to go down quite drastically. So go, 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 nice hard start, and you can see how that affects the stamina measure. The stamina is reducing a fair bit, but the potential stamina isn't reducing that much. This is about a 30-second hard effort just to get up to speed. And then what I'm doing is settling into a hard tempo or sweet spot level. So this is about 85 to 90% of my functional threshold power. So for the stat nerds, my FTP, functional threshold power, my 1 hour power is about 358 watts, and my threshold heart rate is about 165 beats a minute. Give you some context for the numbers that you're then seeing on screen. So after that big effort at the start, I was trying to settle into that more sustainable power. And what I should have seen is the stamina function remaining about the same or coming down quite slowly, because that was a power that I should be able to hold for quite a while. However, it was coming down quicker than I thought it would. And of course, I just immediately disregarded that and kept pedaling, to my downfall. So after a handful of miles riding like that, my stamina slowly depleting, I came to the hill and I felt okay, so I pushed on pretty hard. My plan was to ride this at around threshold, and this is where I was hoping to see the stamina and potential stamina numbers come down quite a lot, but then as I went over the top of the hill, for them to recover. Very early on into the climb, my stamina was 0% and my potential stamina was still relatively high, but it was coming down, but I felt good. I was holding, 350, 360, 370 watts around there as the gradient changed. It was a hard effort, but it was feeling okay. And I was laughing to myself. I couldn't wait to get home, make a video about the fact that Garmin stamina is rubbish and I'm actually loads better than what the watch said I was. Brilliant, I thought. However, by the time I got to the top of that hill, I was absolutely gone. For whatever reason, it was not my day and my body did not want to perform. I just could hardly turn the pedals, and I basically pulled the pin at that point and just cycled really easily. But I kept the camera running and kept the data running during that time. It was really interesting to see, even after about half an hour to 40 minutes of really easy pedaling, I'm talking like zone 1, almost resting heart rate sort of thing, my stamina measure only came up to 50%, and that is quite low. It just shows, I think there was something going off in my body. It wasn't performing well, something wasn't quite right. I should have listened to myself a little bit earlier. I should have listened to the data, and it's really made me think about how interesting this information is. So what do I think about this feature? What have I learned from this small test? Well, I've learned that I can see there could be some benefit to it. However, it's only limited by how much information it has. If I'm going to try and use this to pace in a time trial or a race of some sort, I need to give it more information. I need to wear the watch for weeks beforehand, record all my training sessions on it, so that the algorithm and the information is getting absorbed, so that then the information it's putting out is better. Now, I think in this scenario, I think it was absolutely right. I was going too hard for that day. You're not always on your peak form, your peak numbers, so you can't always perform to your best. And these sorts of things are the things that are going to pick those up through your heart rate variability, through your resting heart rate, through how you're sleeping, all those sorts of things. So it has really opened my eyes to that. I do also need to find a better way of recording this information. I know it wasn't an ideal camera angle and quality level, but I tried my best. So there we go. That in a nutshell is my initial impressions of the Garmin stamina function. I think I like it. I need to give it some more time testing. I'd love to see it on a bike computer. I'm going to give it some more testing soon. If you've used the Garmin stamina feature, either running or cycling, please do let me know down below. I haven't yet tested it running, but I obviously have this on the agenda to do as well. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m.